Okay, we're on section 5 now of Grok, and this one is looking at repeating things. In coding terms, we're talking about loops. So this looks like a lot of code, okay, but you should be able to do it in about 5 lines of code, so you don't need to be writing loads and loads. Again, it starts the same way as most others do, asking for an input. The stuff in black is what you're going to type in when you run it down here. Okay, so it's going to type in Gryffindor. That shouldn't be in your code. But you are asking for an input saying cheer, space. So up here you need a variable that's going to save whatever they type in. So that's going to be something equals, and then you're going to do the input. It's text, it's not number, so you don't need int. All of this section here is inside a loop. This is outside of the loop. What does it spell? And this is also outside of a loop, and you'll notice this is doing uppercase, so you'll have to go back and look at how you did uppercase previously. Okay. The best one to look at on the circle pages for this particular task is the second one, looping over a string. So we'll have a look at that one. I'm just going to run it through and enter Dave as my name and just have a look at what that is doing there. So name equals input, enter your name, same as we've done loads of different times, enter your name. I typed in Dave, so Dave is stored in name. Now this says for C in name. Don't get confused about the C. I'll show you in a second that you can be absolutely anything there. So for C in name says, right, for every character in whatever was entered there, so D, A, V, and E, for every character in name, loop through it and print that character. So for the first time through, C is equal to D. So it prints out D. Then it goes through the loop again and says, okay, what's the next character in it? It's A. So print out that character, A. End of the loop, go back to the loop again and say, okay, go on to the next character, V, so on and so forth until you get there. Now, as I say, that C is just the name of the variable we're giving in this instance, so we might call it letter. So for every letter in name, as long as I put letter inside the brackets here and I'm consistent, then this will do exactly the same thing as the for C. So if we put Dave in again, you can see that it stops and does exactly the same thing, Dave in there. So letter C, you often see I for I in, whatever the thing is you're looking through. As long as you're consistent, you can name the variable whatever you want. So that does that. I'm going to put it back to C, but I'm also going to add in some extra text because yours doesn't want to just print each letter. It wants you to add something else in. So I'm going to do, here's A and then the letter. Now I'll do this with the separators that you have used so far and mix them up. So I'm using a comma and a plus. Okay, if you remember, the comma automatically puts a space in, the plus doesn't. Okay, so we'll run this through and then I'll pause it and you can have a look at the result. So on that one there, we can see that the here's a comma is there. Here's a comma. Now that's repeated all the way down because for every character in name, and there are 4 characters, so it's going to do this 4 times. Here's a is the first thing it does. Here's a, here's a, here's a, here's a with a comma. That's because it's in the string of text there. That comma isn't any of these you see on screen. That's black. It's separating that text from this variable, which is this one that we called before, which is a letter or a character in whatever I type in. So the first time through, this is D. So here's a D. Now that comma is directly after the letter, so I can't put another comma this side because otherwise I'll get a space before that comma. So if I want something that's going to join straight up to it, I have to use the plus and then put my comma as the very first thing inside the next text. So that comma space from is that comma space from, that comma space from, that comma space from. So it does this every time. And I've added on plus name just to show that I've put a space in after from there because plus isn't going to put a space in for me. It's concatenate. And name, which is whatever I put in. So Dave, 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 Dave. So here you've got the structure of what you need. Obviously you're going to need to look at what punctuation and what you actually need to put in as it says in the task. But we've used comma and plus. You could use a plus there. You would just have to put an extra space at that point to get that space between the comma and the character of each letter. So you can pause and rewind this as you wish, but that gives you the basics for what you need to do within the task that's given on here. So we've got all of this. Enter I put Dave in, obviously, didn't I? You're going to put cheer. And then this is give me a G, comma, straight away. G, exclamation mark. So you've just got to make sure that that's all in there. That's one line of code at the end. What does it spell? And then this final line of code is obviously you can change whatever that was into uppercase. Okay. Now these two last lines at the bottom here have to be outside of the loop. And so if we go on to this page, which is the third of the help pages, it shows, ignore what's happening actually in the loop here, for I in hello. So as I said, you often see I. For I in hello, so it's going to go through HELLO in this case, print I. So this is happening inside the loop because it's indented. Once you come outside of the loop, next line comes on. Okay, and if I go down to the bottom, it's the same thing here. For I in hello, do this. Now there's only one thing in there, output, and that's like the next I. But then the print output and print next line are outside of the loop. So you're not doing that each time. So just to be aware.